Okay, so we're going to learn something called the distributive property. And I have a little Angry Bird diagram to help you understand what's happening. So for all of these questions, you're going to have a term outside of your bracket, which is the little blue bird. And then you're going to have terms inside your bracket. I don't know the names of these characters. Do they have names? Okay, I don't know what they are, but green guy with helmet and then green guy without helmet. And so the distributive property is basically, in order for you, the green guys inside the brackets are protected by the brackets. So if you have brackets, anything inside the brackets can't be moved or touched or anything like that, they're protected. In order for us to open up those brackets, we have to do something called distributive property. So what that means is you take your bluebird and you multiply it to this guy and you get this term here. And you take the bluebird here and you multiply it to the second guy and you get this term here. And once you've done that, the brackets disappear. So we're going to use this principle to try how many examples? 6 examples. And that should help you understand what you're doing for your homework. So make sure you guys are on the right sheet and that you have it in front of you. For question number 1, we have 2 bracket 4x squared plus 2x. So again, the stuff inside of the bracket is protected. You can't touch it. You can't do anything with it. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the 2 and we're going to multiply it to the first term. We're going to take that 2 and we're going to multiply it to the second term. You don't need to write the, you don't have to show the arrows. I just like to show them so you know what's happening. Okay, so how do we do that? Well, I first look at my coefficients, my numbers. So what is 2 times 4 going to give me? 8. And then see this x squared? Is there anything in front of the 2 that you can multiply the x squared with? No, like does the 2 have any letter or anything like that? No. So if the x squared is the only thing in this multiplication statement, you're just going to glue it on and it's going to be 8x squared. We will come upon questions where you will have something in front of the 2, but right now we're just going to start off really easy where there's going to be nothing in front of this number here. And if there is just one letter, it just attached to the 8. Let's look at the next one. What's 2 times positive 2? Positive 4. And then you have nothing, and then you have an x here. So what are we going to do with that x? We're just going to glue it onto the 4, and our final answer is going to be 8x squared plus 4x. So what did we do? We multiplied the first 2 terms together to get this one. We multiplied the second terms together to get this, and we've gotten rid of the brackets, and this process is called distributive property. Okay, if it didn't make sense the first time, let's try another one. This time we have the number 5 outside of the bracket, and we have 3 terms inside, 2y squared plus 3y minus 2. So what are we doing? We're going to multiply the 5 to the first term. Then we're going to multiply the 5 to the second term. And then we're going to multiply the 5 to the third term. Okay, so let's look at the first term. What is 5 times 2 going to give us? 10. And then what do I do with the y squared? I just stick it on right here, and it's going to be 10y squared. Does that make sense? Okay, let's try the next one. 5 times positive 3. What's 5 times positive 3? Positive 15. And then what do I also have to stick onto it? Just the y. Good. And the last one, 5 times negative 2. What's that going to give us? What's that? Negative 10. And then that's our final answer. Is that pretty straightforward for now? It makes sense, right? Okay, good. I got thumbs up. We're good to go. Now, actually, question 3 is just as easy. Go ahead and do it yourselves, and I'll put the answers over here. I think I'm going to lose my Zoom because it seemed like it was glitching a little bit. Let's see if it stays on. Actually, I'll give you a second to try it and then we'll take it up because I do notice there's a little bit of a trick to this with the negative signs. Oh no, why is this not working? All right, you guys, so can I get a volunteer to help me with this question? You're distributing the negative 3 to all of the terms inside the bracket. Stirsha, go ahead. What's negative 3 times x squared? Yeah, and actually before we start, if it helps, you can rewrite this question so that you actually have a number in front of the x squared. So this is going to be 1x squared. This is going to be minus x, minus 1x, minus 1. So if it helps, you can rewrite the question to have actual coefficients in front of your variables. Does this help anyone? It might not. Okay, Sirsha, now what did you do for the first term? Yep. Yeah, so here, -3 times -1 is +3, and then you just stick the x on here. -3 times -1 is just +3, and so that would be our final answer. So even though they're negatives, nothing tricky about this. It's done the exact same way. All right, questions 1, 2, and 3 were the easy types of questions. So on our assessment, they would be like that first row. Questions 4, 5, and 6 are the harder questions. What do you notice that is different about question 4 compared to questions 1, 2, and 3? Ari? There are two different sets of brackets. Great. So once you recognize that, you know that you're going to have to do a little bit more work. Before you start doing that work, just recognize that what we're going to do is we're going to take this 2 and we're going to multiply it to each of the terms in the first bracket. And then once the bracket stops, we can't use that 2 anymore. We have to use the number that is over here. What number is in front of this bracket, even though it's not written there? It's the number, I heard it, 1, yeah. So if you wanted, again, you could rewrite this. So it's 2 bracket 4x squared plus 2x minus 1 bracket 1x squared plus 3. If it helps, you can go ahead and write in all of the ones that are missing. Like this x squared has a 1 in front of it. This entire bracket has a 1 in front of it. Now you can kind of see the question pretty clearly. You know you're going to have to multiply this 2 to these brackets and this -1 to this one. So someone I haven't heard from that wants to try this. Because I love the volunteering I get from people. Aritra? 2 times, yep. 8x squared. Good. So what Aritra did is he did 2 times 4, which is 8, and then glued the x squared to it. The next one? 4. So you did basically 2 times +2 is 4, and then x is here. And then Aritra, keep going. What's -1 times 1? I just did -x squared. Yep, I'm just going to write it as -1x squared. And then -1 times +3? -3. Good. I'll stop here. Does this make sense, or does anyone have any questions about what we did here? It makes sense what we did? Okay, are we done this question though? Why aren't we done the question? Ari? Yeah. Yeah, so we're gonna collect like terms, what we did before. We're gonna put all of the x squared terms close together. So it's gonna be 8x squared minus 1x squared. Then I have a +4x and a -3. So remember how we were highlighting? Basically, this term and this term are alike. And so I gathered those up. And now I can actually go ahead and add and subtract these. And the reason I could do that is they have the same exponent and the same variable. So they're like terms. What's 8 take away 1? 7x squared. Can I add the 4x to anything? No. So it's just going to be +4x minus 3. So that was a slightly harder question. Any questions about that? No, we're good. Okay, let's try question 5. I could rewrite question 5 to include what number is in front of this first bracket if there's no number written there? 1. Good, so I'm going to rewrite it. I'm going to write 1 bracket 3x squared plus 4x minus 2. And then what number is in front of this bracket? It's also a +1, and then it's going to be 5x squared minus 2x plus 3. Okay, go ahead and try this question yourselves. Okay, who wants to try this question? This is an easy one because you have a bunch of ones that you have to distribute. Farabi, do you want to try this one? So start with the first bracket where you have the 1, you're going to multiply to all the terms inside. Good. Good. Excellent. And then the second bracket? Yep. Yep. Plus 3. Okay. Are we done here though? What else can we do? Do you guys see any like, Julia, do you see any like terms? Good. Yep. Good. Excellent. Julia, you want to keep going and finish it off? Excellent. Perfect. Positive 1. Good. So what Julia did is she recognized that you can add the x squareds together, the x's together, and the constants together, and then that would be your final answer. Good job, you guys. All right, last but not least, we have question number 6. Again, I'm going to rewrite question number 6 so I have all the ones added in. So this is basically going to be 2 bracket negative 2x squared plus 4x minus 5 minus 1. So this number, even though it's not written, it's written as minus 1 bracket negative 1x squared plus 1x minus 3. So just recognize that I'm adding in all of the ones. Do you need to do this step? No, you don't. I think it just makes the question a little bit easier because what we do is we multiply the coefficients. So if you can see that there's a negative 1 here, it might make it easier when you're actually multiplying them out. Okay, who wants to try this one? Anyone? Anyone? Shams, do you want to try it? No? Sorry, I can't hear you. You said no? Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Anyone else? How about, I don't know. Abraham, you want to try it? So look, you're going to go 2 times negative 2, which is negative 4, and you're just going to add the x squared to it. 2 times positive 4 is positive 8x, good. And then 2 times negative 5 is excellent. Okay, now it's a new volunteer to do the second bracket, and I'll help you out with it. Javen, do you want to try this one? Negative 1 times negative 1 is positive 1x squared, good. Negative 1 times positive 1 is negative 1x, yeah. And then negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3, good job. Anyone want to help me collect like terms? So like put all the x squareds together, the x's and the constants. Sirsha? Yeah. Good. Excellent. So we put our x squareds together, we put our x's together, and then we put our constants together. All right, what is negative 4 plus 1? You just say it out loud. It's going to be negative, yep. It's going to be negative 3x squared. What is positive 8 minus 1? Positive 7x. What is negative 10 plus 3? Negative 7, and that's our final answer. By the way, when we get to these final answers, you can ask yourself, can I add or subtract these? The answer is no. Can you add an x squared and an x together? No, they're unlike terms. Can I add an x and a constant together? No, they're unlike terms. All right, let me tell you all of the homework that I'm going to ask you to do for this section for tomorrow. If you turn to handout A, I know I gave you a lot, but oh, sorry, just turn to handout A. I would like you to try all of the questions on handout A. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M. Don't worry about any of the textbook questions for this section. Just do the questions in handout A.